could have gone better.
Naturally, a battle like that can work up an appetite. Luckily, a transport full of food showed up shortly after the clash. The wheels quickly turned in the deceitful evil's evil brain. What if those deliverers were to have an accident on their way to the city, and the city suddenly ran out of food? It giggled a treacherous little giggle. Those wood piles could be used as a roadblock if they were put into motion with a few hefty blows. That would make transporting that food even more difficult.
Okay, then we'll starve the pigs out. A brilliant plan. Do we have to do this? I feel so bad about killing Grimly. Oh, I'm surprised. I thought that evil act would finally extinguish the good part of me. I guess I'll just have to put up with you for a while longer.
These schizophrenic monologues are really annoying. They prevent me from saying so much more.
Not the worst thing when I look at the reviews of the last game.
What? How dare you? Talk about cheeky. You haven't heard the last of this. In its boundless genius, the prudent evil had provided Thalya with a few gobberbots whose combat strength would prove extremely useful. They were just, wait a minute, where are they?
Yes! They were supposed to be delivered yesterday, but the postman just left a note at the dungeon entrance saying that I wasn't home. I was here the whole time.
Oh, how I'd love to work with professionals. Just once. Professionals. Just once. Take a deep breath. Remember what they taught you. You don't want any more of those electric shocks. Fine. And so, the bad-tempered evil quickly threw 2 gobberbots into the dungeon. Then it went out to find that postman and beat the living crap out of him. Meanwhile, even the gluttonous heroes of Burger's End had noticed the constant rhythmic thumping sounds coming from underground between chews, and sent scouts and combat troops out towards the dungeon.
Ah, these stuffed pigs will be a piece of cake. We could also deal with them peacefully, couldn't we?
That was a noble thought from the good Thalya, but the heroes of Burger's End were not choosy about what they ate, and dark elf fingers were considered a delicacy.
Oh, disgusting! Right, let's roast these pigs. Oh, good call.
The evilness collecting evil had, well, collected evil. Damned adjectives, whatever. It soon had the chance to research gobberbots, enabling it to recruit them itself in future. This extremely useful research would equip all normal goblins with a mech, greatly increasing their combat strength. Oh, apparently a couple of heroes got lucky and caught a couple of goblins away from their gobberbots on a pee break. You should free them as quickly as possible. The first food delivery set out for Burger's End. Of course, the well-prepared and not at all surprised evil would never let it arrive at its destination. The savage evil never even gave the food delivery a chance. Now, its creatures gorged themselves on the delicacies instead of the heroes in Burger's End. A delivery carrying a variety of culinary delights was on its way to Burger's End. How sad that it would never reach its goal. The masterful evil had destroyed the delivery without even breaking a sweat. The beer-brewing evil could now build a brewery. Alcohol and heavily armed evil creatures. What could go wrong? But apart from that, the brewery was able to brew delicious beer, which the Horde creatures craved. Beer was essential for the Horde, as these stubborn creatures demanded the delicious beverage as soon as they acquired a certain amount of experience and wanted to continue their training beyond a given stage. Actually, that kind of reminds me of my time in the army. A brewery now twinkled and sparkled in the alcohol-dependent evil's dungeon. Yet before that noble drop could be produced for the Horde, a brewing kettle would first need to be erected. The first brewery was now ready to roll. Soon, a creature of the horde, or a little snot, would here begin to produce the noble brew. Not only was beer essential for powerful horde creatures, it also had a healing effect upon them. Ah, if only that would work for me.
Anything that increases the troops' combat strength is great. Go, creatures! Get yourselves drunk!
The savage evil never even gave the food delivery a chance. Now, its creatures gorged themselves on the delicacies instead of the heroes in Burger's End. And still these goblins waited to be freed by the completely ignoring them evil. Naturally, it immediately sprang into action. A satisfying crash and clatter heralded the unapproachable evil's army's destruction of the pixie camp. A wonderful thing, because the sound of their wings reminded me of the mosquitoes that attack me in bed at night, damn things.
Oh, I'm sure we could have come to a peaceful agreement.
Peaceful agreement with something that sounds like a mosquito? Trust me, there's no room for peace there, only total war. Even when you search every crack in the whole damn bedroom at 2 in the morning for the stupid things. Thankful and relieved for the helping hand they received from the massacring evil, the goblins immediately joined its constantly growing army. Scouts informed the highway robbing evil of a number of deliveries on their way to Burger's End. Aha, the roaring evil thought. The ambush planning evil had taken advantage of the blockades and thereby significantly restricted the food deliveries to Burger's End. That should make starving the city out child's play.
Excellent! Let's hit the greedy bastards right where it hurts most. In the gonads? In their stomachs.
Burger's End was doomed. The feasting evil's armies had laid low the last of the defenders, and now rampaged through the city, plundering and burning as they went.
Wonderful! Let them burn! Okay, somehow that was extremely evil. I mean, I haven't forgotten that bit about the dark elf fingers, but maybe we could have gone about things differently? Ah, just shut up and look at the fire!
Thalya sat and surveyed the heartwarming scene. Every now and then one could still hear some screaming in the distance, but they soon ebbed, and there was no sound except the crackling of the fire. Well, aside from the roaring of the vile evil's creatures, of course. Once the plundering and arson had gone on long enough, the hinterland conquering evil's army marched on. The crossing, followed by Thanos, the heavy-handed evil's army moved further towards their actual goal. But for that, it would require a ship. Thalya and the truly offensive evil's armies continued marauding and running through the fields of wheat. Somewhere behind them, Thanos picked up their trail, but he had no inkling of the corrupting evil's true destination, Termite Island. A fleet would be needed to get to Termite Island, and, as everyone knew, the two Left Hands evil and its creatures were not exactly gifted shipbuilders. And so it was that the Horde stood before the gates of fantastic Lakesville. The inhabitants of Lakesville worshipped the sun and had even erected a number of temples that captured the sunlight. The light they collected strengthened the inhabitants of Lakesville in a truly unpleasant manner, which made them dangerous opponents indeed. On top of that, sunshine made them a little over the top in the gung-ho department. A number of battle-hungry troops had already rushed out to head for the dungeon.
What? Alert! Come, creatures of evil, prepare to defend against intruders! Be them, break their legs, pick their noses! Sit down in a circle? Just shut it! Tear out their arms, twist their necks, give them wedgies!
Battle began in the underground. Meanwhile, the heroes on the surface continued to bathe in the sunlight.
It's getting to be about time for night to fall?
What? Night? Oh, okay. Night slowly fell over Lakesville as the sun sank and finally disappeared. The sun praisers of Lakesville shivered a little as they were used to sizzling in the sun. At the same time, they were overcome with a deep fatigue that led the overwhelmed guards to fall asleep. Only a few heroes were still on their feet.
Excellent! Finally, this narrator does something useful for a change.
Ungrateful lot. Fine then. The night wouldn't last forever, though, and daybreak was approaching fast. It seems the days just flew by in Lakesville. Must be all that fresh sea air. Night was falling.
We should take advantage of the opportunity and attack them now, while they're all asleep. That would be unwise. I would suggest something else. What now? Do you want to talk things out again? Or do you have some other hippie hogwash you want to share? No, not this time. I wanted to suggest that we focus on defending the dungeon and build a few defenses. Otherwise, they'll overrun us at daybreak. That doesn't sound like a bad idea. But attack is the best defense.
In order to be able to defeat Lakesville's daylight active heroes, the hard-hearted evil would have to use the lecture hall. There, scrolls could be examined, which would make things already researched even better.
Sounds pretty damn sensible to me. We could use all the help we can get against these sunbathing goody two-shoes.
Even though the heroes of Lakesville were indeed getting their beauty sleep, it was doubtful that they would sleep through any violence directed their way. And it was also likely that the destruction of any buildings or the like would make a perfect alarm clock.
Right then, just hit them hard enough and they'll close their little eyes again. Oh, you are so evil. I know. Thanks for the compliment.
The digging in the dungeon had paid off, for the truffle pig evil's little snots had found a scroll. Now it only needed to be taken to a lecture hall so it could be used. The excavation crazy evil had uncovered an underground room containing a scroll. This needed to be taken to a lecture hall as quickly as possible.
Days like these are hard on the nerves. We'd be better off concentrating on the defenses for now.
That sounded like a great plan. Yet the underground wasn't necessarily safe. Maybe those sneaky little heroes still had an ace up their sleeves.
And just what is that supposed to mean? Do you always have to be so vague?
Of course, this is the bit where I ramp up the excitement. I mean, how boring would it be if I were just to reveal everything right now?
Extremely unboring.
Just go with it.
Time to take out the trash.
The darkness-loving evil's armies had reached one of the sun temples that made Lakesville's heroes so powerful.
That thing has to be destroyed. Right, everybody. Sunblock on, and let's get to it.
The first sun temple was destroyed, bursting into thousands of particles. Pieces. Sorry.
That'll teach those worms. What will it teach them? Not to... stop asking such stupid questions. Split personality me. We have to take out that second temple. Oh, but the sun is so beautiful and wonderful and good and warm and... Ah, stop it! All that revolting do-gooder drivel leaves a disgusting taste in my mouth. Those are a couple of the Ironhides I sent to scout around. They've been captured. We should free them. Then I can punish them for failing.
Great plan. Although it looks like those guards are full to the eyebrows with caffeine. None of them are going to be sleeping tonight. The all-crushing evil simply plowed right through the Ironhide's weedy guards. Thoroughly impressed, they happily joined the evilest of all evil's army.
Simply let themselves be captured. Losers.
Saying something like that now was rather amusing, considering that in the future... But I digress. On we go. It was morning.
Shh! Hey, listen! Does anyone else hear a strange scraping sound? Like the sound of someone digging through stone? I mean, aside from us, of course. Yeah, I hear it too. Which kind of makes sense, seeing as how we share a body. Yeah, maybe it's termites or something like that? Termites? In stone? So, like, stone termites? Ugh, total nonsense. Oh, well, it is a fantasy world, so who knows what kind of absurdities the writers will think up.
Stone termites sounded interesting. However, the explanation was much more banal, as some heroes were digging another entrance to the totally caught by surprise evil's dungeon.
What? Someone's tunneling through to us? Damn! Stop them!
The excavation site was accessible from the overworld. It became advisable to pay those troops a little visit to discourage them from their endeavors, permanently, which is to say, axe in the head. The all-destroying evil showed that wrecking crew what it thought of an additional entrance to the dungeon. Absolutely nothing. The second Sun Temple must be close by. Those guards over there are probably not just standing around for nothing. Then again, you never know with these heroes. They're not exactly famous for their intelligence. The Sun Temples were destroyed. A wailing and weeping could be heard echoing down the streets of Lakesville, for hard times loomed before the Sunbearers. Of course, they had a completely different set of problems, for soon the sun-hating evil's army would be at their gates.
And that's the way it looks. Sun. Even when I was a good dark elf, I hated that thing. Disgusting. I wish I could contradict you, but we dark elves really aren't suited to long stays in the sun. Unless we use a protection factor that would even work for a vampire. Yeah, but they would buy it all up. Vampires. Take that, you worm! I want Tanos's head.
Lakesville was no more. Once again, Thalya and the indifferent evil's armies left a trail of destruction behind them. Kind of surprising that Tanos hadn't tracked them down yet. They should name him Worst Tracker of All Time.
Yeah, that's true enough. He never was one to pay attention to detail.
Details like a burning city?
Yeah, he's more of a big picture guy. Pretty soon he's going to be a picture of my dagger in his eye guy. Oh, you are so brutal. On a different note, is this day-night cycle thing permanent now?
No, because... that was just because those sun temples made the days just fly by.
Oh, I thought that was the fresh sea air.
That too, yes. Lakesville was no more. Now it was time to set sail for Termite Island, there to face the mighty Yaina Overproud. The Prince of Hell. Thalya had reached Termite Island. The time had come to